Hello everyone, so I'm back with the third installment of the 90s Barbie collection. Here they all are. So last time I left off, it's been a few days ago, so last time I left off I was at my cut and style dolls, so I guess I'll go through them. So I think I already mentioned this in the last one, but I'll mention it again. Oh yes, and also as a disclaimer, a lot of these dolls are in various states of like a variety of different conditions, so a lot of them are not wearing the correct outfits, and please be respectful as always, and don't ask me if any of these dolls are for sale, trade, donation, or if I'll give you any. They mean a lot to me, and I have lots of special memories with them, so please be respectful. Without further ado, I'll start out with my cut and style dolls again, since I don't mind talking about them again. So these were two. Here's my two redheads. I have a blonde, and I have all of them. I have the AA1 and the brunette, which I recently got her from eBay. And it was really amazing about that doll because all the dolls that I got from eBay, the seller, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my last video, but the seller said they were her daughter's dolls, and her daughters didn't want them anymore after she got them out of the attic, so they put them on eBay. And once I sent pictures to the eBay seller, she was really emotional about it because she remembered them, so I feel really happy about her. But she was the last one I got. This one actually found her hacked at the Goodwill, and she came with like hair extension packs and a really funny looking outfit on, but like a lot of stuff was included with her. And I tried to reroute her with the refill packs, but I might just take it all out. But I got her back in like 2010. This one I got back in 2008 at a flea market with a guy that sold a lot of CDs, and he had a random tub of Barbies. These two are on eBay. I got them individually. They weren't in lots or anything. I deliberately went to seek them out because I love the redhead, and she was the one that I had the most memories with. Funny story about her: when I was a kid, I'm not sure if I told the story about how my mom gave her to me, and she wound up getting her head broken off, and I cut her hair, and then I lost her, so there was that story. But she was the Barbie I thought her hair would grow back. But of course, since when I found her, she was naked and didn't have anything to go that went with her. But I thought that, you know, Barbies had hair that would grow back, so that's why I cut it, because her hair was frizzy. And unfortunately, my grandma had just got done and detangling her hair and making her look all nice, and cleaned her, and then I chopped off all her hair after that. I felt really bad, so. And this one's actually close to the one that I had because her eyes are bigger, so yeah. So those are my cut and style dolls. Oh yeah, and by the way, oh yeah, those were my 1993, so I already went over all of those. So this was another doll that I had memories with. This one actually looks a lot like the one I had. She has a smaller forehead and smaller writing on the back of her head. This one has bigger writing. I also had the one with purple eyes and the purple and pink outfit, which I didn't have the outfit. Funny story, when I was a kid, of course, all the dolls I don't have anymore, but this one resembles the one I had. I came home from school one day, and my grandma had a Barbie sitting on the chair in the living room, and it was this one, the Tooth Fairy Barbie from 1994. Oh, I'd forgotten to mention those two dolls. I got them back in 2012, so yeah. But yeah, this one my sister-in-law's aunt gave me when I moved in with her back in 2009. And I found that one in 2011. So, but this one resembles the one I had, and I remember this doll was wearing that dress. And my grandma said she found her in the garbage, and I used to play with her all the time. And then there's the other one. She was boxed, and I got her from eBay, and it meant a lot to me because, people didn't have to buy me dolls, but she did anyway. So, and she knew that it was a doll that was from my childhood. Then we move on to Tropical Splash Barbie. I found her at the Goodwill, and she had a bad haircut, but I think I did pretty good on her. I used to have her a long time ago, and she wound up getting broken. And then we have Gymnast Barbie. I got this one back in 2014. Oh, I completely skipped this one. This one is my first Princess Barbie, and I believe I got her at an indoor flea market back in 2009 or No, actually, I think I might have gotten her from the same seller with all the CDs that sold me that doll. So yeah. So I think that's where she came from. Either that or she came from the indoor flea market. But she is really pretty. I like her a lot. So like Gymnast Barbie, she was another doll that was kicking around the flea market for a while. And a lot of different sellers would exchange dolls to sell. So I remembered seeing her, so I decided to get her. And she's not all original anymore because I didn't know how to take care of dolls back then. Then we have the children's collection. I believe that was what she was called, Rapunzel. And I got her from a seller that sold me the majority of her daughter's dolls from her childhood. And the only thing she's missing is her shoes, but I still have her hairpiece and her crown. And then we have Hot Skating Barbie. So I found her at the Goodwill, and she was in really poor condition, so I wound up body swapping her. And then we have Hot Skating Midge. She's one of my favorites. Oh, by the way, I got her back in 2011, and I got her back in 2013, maybe 2012, I don't remember. And this one I got in 2014 at a thrift store. And she was wearing that. She had the knee pads, but I think I wound up getting rid of them because the vinyl covering, it was like faux leather, it was peeling off, so I got rid of the knee pads. But she's one of my favorite Midge dolls. Then we move on to Dance Moves Barbie, and I got her at the Goodwill, and I suspect a lot of dolls from the 90s got donated by the same owner because I got those two together along with this Sparkle Beach Barbie and several others. So yeah, I think a girl's mom from the 90s donated all her dolls. So I got those, and they're in those outfits. She has a dance body, so like when you move her waist side to side, her arms move, and that's Bubble Angel Barbie. So I remember seeing her on lots and eBay a lot of times, and I always thought she was kind of, I don't know, like typical Barbie looking except for the crimped hair, so I never really wanted her, but whenever I finally saw her, I actually could not resist her. There was also a Western stamping Barbie that was there, but I left her behind because I didn't really care for the half curled, half crimped hair. So like one side of Western stamping Barbie's hair is crimped, the other side is like big wavy curls, and I didn't really like that. I wanted all the hair to be crimped, so I really regretted that. And if I ever find it, I mean the crimped and curled, like one side crimped, one side curled, still bothers me. So when I get her, I will straighten her curled side, and she can have one side that's just crimped. So and then we have Butterfly Princess Barbie, the AA version. I found her back in 2014 or 2015. I believe it was 2015. But it took me forever to identify her because she doesn't look like a princess at all, but I love her so much. She is so pretty. And then we have Baywatch Barbie, and I got her from a thrift store as well back in 2015. This is the last one from 1994, and funny thing is, after I had gotten done watching one of 1,000 Splendid Dolls videos on 90s Barbies, they had showed this Pioneer Barbie in their video, and I thought she was the prettiest thing because I used to have 2 clone dolls when I was a kid that had Pioneer dresses, very resembling to this one. I had a blonde one that had a teal dress with floral print, very reminiscent to that, and another one was the same dress and it was maroon. and that was a brunette doll. So I really love Pioneer Barbies for that specific reason. So right after I watched the video, I found her at the Goodwill, and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah. And then we move on to all of my Sparkle Beach dolls, minus Skipper, because I will do a separate Sister Skipper collection. This was another doll my sister-in-law's aunt bought me when I moved in with her. And she's not in really good condition. She was in mint condition. That's her original bikini top right there. And her necklace, I used it for my Skipper, but I think I took it off of her. So I don't know where it is. But she was a doll that I played with quite a lot. And it's funny because I played with my dolls even after I was grown. I still like to brush their hair and dress. I mean, I still like to, but I played with her kind of rough. I remember distinctly putting some shimmery lipstick on her face, and when I went to wash her years later, it took part of her face. So that's why her face looks kind of funny. And then there's this one. So this is my favorite variant. There's also one with long saran hair, and I think there's another one that looks like this one, but her hair is really long. It's like all the way like down to here, which you'll see on Teresa and Christie over here. They have really, really long hair. So it goes out to there. Well, a lot of them that had the Connect-On hair, their hair goes to about the lower back, kind of. So, and the ones that had the long hair had their hair twist braided. So then I found Teresa. Oh, I forgot to mention I found her at the Goodwill back in like 2013, somewhere in there. And I got her in 2009. This one I found in 2010, and she was the second doll I encountered from the Sparkle Beach line. And she was from the seller that had a lot of grungy dolls, and she wasn't even going to sell them. I regretted not asking her if I could look at them, but she said she had a tub somewhere that were full of filthy dolls that she wasn't going to put out. But these were some of them she did put, and they were absolutely the worst, like completely gross, like covered in dirt. She's got chew marks all over her body, and her feet are kind of chewed. I'm not sure if you can see, but she cleaned up nicely. And I don't think I'll rebody her because, I mean, even though she's chewed and has damage, she's not chewed or broken to the fact she's missing a limb or something. So I will keep her on her body. And then this was the second Teresa I found. She had a bad haircut, but I fixed her hair. So, and she is the really pretty auburn hair variant. And she's like, well, I thought she was like kind of rare, but it turns out like this one is one of the more rare ones. And then we have Christie over here. Oh yeah, I found her at a thrift store back in last year, I believe, or the year before. No, I think it was last year. And then I found Christie back in 2015, and she was all original. She had everything she came with except for the bracelet and the brush, obviously. But she has really long hair. She's the only Christie doll they ever used the Shani face mold on, or the Shani face. But yeah, she's really pretty, and I'm really happy to have her. And then we have Swim and Dive Barbie. She came with this huge oxygen tank that made her swim. And I got her from eBay and a lot of other dolls back in 2013. So yeah, I really like her. And I had her when I was a kid, so I really like her. And then we have this doll, which I got from the flea market back when my grandma and my mom were still alive. I was living with my grandma, and I got her in 2005 from a lady who was selling all her daughter's Barbies and her daughter's Cabbage Patch dolls and everything. So this was one of them. I rerouted her hair because her hair, now no, she was in mint condition when I got her, minus her bangs being cut off. But because I had to keep my Barbies outside for whenever my grandma went through that phase with me, whenever she didn't want me to have dolls anymore, a lot of my dolls got withered and started decaying, and a lot of the hair wound up decaying, and also I didn't really know how to take care of it. So it got to where she had a lot of breakage, and just her hair was completely damaged. So I think it was like a year and a half ago, I rerouted her with some hair that I harvested from a butchered styling head. So there's her. Then we have my Solo in the Spotlight reproduction from 1995. And she's not in her original dress, but I got her new box from the flea market, and I thought the seller was so nice because she went down $1 on her because all I had was 14. She was 15, and I literally went up there with change because one of the dolls that I had, I'm not sure if I ever told this story. I went to the flea market back in 2004, and the lady there was another lady that used to sell a lot of dolls, and she had a big setup and everything with Barbies. She had all kinds of Barbie stuff. And she had this doll in a vintage flocked hair Ken sitting on top. She thought it was a genuine 1950s Barbie, and so did I, because I didn't even know I wasn't even aware back then they made reproductions. So, and she was the wedding day one. She was the wedding day, and she was wearing Bead Blast Redhead's orange dress. So I remember buying her years before, and I remember being so careful with her, and in the end her head wound up snapping off and stuff like that, so she's history. But I remember just being in awe over the fact that I felt I had a vintage doll. So, and she was in really good condition. I remember being really shocked that she still had the original hair bands in, and they still worked, but little did I know it wasn't an actual vintage doll. So then I found this one years later, and she was boxed, and so I was like, you know what, I'll get her, just for nostalgia purposes, so I really love her. And then we have my Olympic gymnast Barbie, and she's not on the correct body because her body kind of broke, but I still do have her outfit. I got her from a seller that sold all her dolls at the flea market, all her daughter's dolls. So I really like her. And then here's my two Pretty Hearts Barbies. My friend gave me this one, and this was the dress that she was wearing when my friend gave this one to me. She was cleaning out her garage, and she found this one. And of course, her and her grandma she comes from a family that's kind of like hoarding, only their house isn't like messy. They just have a lot of books and stuff like that. So she asked her grandma if she could give this one to me because it was probably a doll from her childhood, but she wasn't really into Barbies, and she knew I was, so she gave that one to me, and I thought that was really sweet of her. And then we have this one, which I found at the Goodwill, and I almost passed up on getting her because I didn't really like her face. And I was like, I already have one, so, but I wound up caving and getting her anyway, and I'm glad that I did. She has Kanekalon hair, and she has Saran hair. Really, really nice. And their faces both look different, if you can tell. Let me get you a good look at their faces. I really like the Kanekalon variant, but I love them both. I don't know. And then we have, oh yeah, I got her back in 2009, and I got her back in 2013 or 14, I can't remember. And then we have, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I think from this point, or maybe it's this point on, 1995, so all these are from 1995 until that point, so yeah. And then we have jewel hair mermaid dolls. So I have 4 of them. So I have Midge. She was the first one I encountered, and I really fell in love with her. She's really gorgeous. I got her at the flea market back in 2010. I got her in 2011 along with that one. They came together, so I was glad I didn't split them up. And their hair was really, really horribly matted and balled up, but I was able to save them. And each doll, these 2 dolls came from a seller that had just a cardboard box filled with like 90's Barbies and everything. So they basically set everything at $1, so it didn't matter what the condition of the doll was in. They were all $1. So, and a lot of them had their original outfits on and were pretty mint condition. So I wound up buying a bunch of dolls from her. So that was back in 2011, 11. And this one, I forgot to mention, Midge is made in Indonesia, and this doll is Malaysia and China. That one's also a China, so that's why they kind of look different. So then I found her at the thrift store back in 2015, and her hair was a matted ball. But so far, all my jewel hair mermaids have not had haircuts at all. And I'm really glad. She is really pretty. And then, these dolls are interesting. So we have my two Songbird Barbies. This one I got from the same seller that sold me those two dolls. And she was wearing the original dress, but I put it on her. But if you can see the difference in their faces, like this one is a China, that one's an Indonesia variant. This one has pearlized pink jewelry. This one has a matte color pink to her jewelry. So yeah. So like this one has like purple and blue makeup. She has just blue. Their facial screenings are also completely different, and the eye colors are different too. They both have saran hair though, which is really interesting. This is another doll that I got from the same seller that sold me that one. Basically the $1 bin, I'll call it, at the flea market. And she was wearing her original outfit. I lost her little hair bow ribbons, but I can find some more. I can make some more. That was German Barbie, Dolls of the World. And then we have my two Ocean Friends Barbies. This one I got at a flea market, or not at a flea market, a thrift store back in 2010. And then I got her from the same seller that sold me. I got her from the $1 bin, and she was really horribly discolored. I actually colored on her wetsuit on the top with like a Crayola marker, and it stained it. So, but it was almost bleached white, and the blue was bleached completely white, and I did that with Sharpies. That was a long time ago. But yeah, I remember I found her. She was mint condition. And she had her oxygen tank. This one just had the mask, so I was able to partially complete her. And I wound up finding some flippers for her, even though they're not the original ones. Those are my two school teacher Barbies. And they're both apparently the controversial one because they have nude underwear on, and parents complained, so they wound up switching it around and giving her white panties underneath. So this one, I think I found her at the flea market. I can't really remember. I think she was a part of the bin that, I think she was a part of the $1 bin. Yeah, that sold me those other Barbies. I'm not 100% sure, but I think she was. Yeah. But I know I got her at the flea market, and this one I got her at a thrift store. And her hair was cut, but I managed to save her. And then there's the dress. Then we have my Twirling Ballerina Barbie from 1996. And she has kind of cut hair, and she doesn't have anything that goes to her, but I found her at the thrift store back in 2015, I believe. So yeah, I really like her, and she has a fully articulated body. I like her face. I'm probably going to curl her hair here soon. Here's my 50s Fun Barbie. She came with a big poodle skirt dress that was blue and hot pink. And she's really pretty. And actually, I think this is 1996. So yeah, these dolls are from 96. Or not 96, 95. And this one's from 96. Okay. So yeah, there's my 50s Fun Barbie. And I found her at a thrift store called Thrift Giant last year. And then we have my Flower Fun Barbie, which I remember seeing her in a lot of grocery stores whenever I was a kid and really wanting her, which is why I was glad to have the dress that goes on, that was on my Tooth Fairy Barbie. I remember just always wanting her because I loved her floral dress, and I always wanted the original doll. So then we have again, I got her from a thrift store back in 2015. So then we have my, oh wait, I completely forgot to go over these. These are my two Um, Pretty Dreams Barbies, and they're a lot bigger and they have the soft body. But yeah, I remember really wanting her because she was like a doll that was so much bigger than all the other ones. So she's basically a supersize, and she's really cute. I got this one first, and I found her at a thrift store called Thrift City back in 2013, and then I found her in 2015 at Thrift World, and she has her original outfit. Then we have my 3 bubbling mermaid Barbies. This was the first one, and the guy at the flea market actually gave her to me because she was missing her fin. She didn't have anything that came with her except for her crown, which this one is wearing. And yeah, I painted that on her, and that was back whenever I used to paint things on my dolls, like paint bras and stuff, and I kind of painted her something to resemble the Pearl Beach line, so yeah, that's why that's there. But the guy that, I got her from the guy that sold a lot of the CDs and stuff, and DVDs, and he basically gave her to me because she was broken in half, and she was missing her fin, so I got a free doll, and I was really happy about that. I wound up super gluing her body together, and sometimes I've actually wound up putting like a fabric body over her so she can have a tail. So I think at one point I put Jewel Hair Mermaids mermaid body on her. This one I got from an eBay lot, and she's mint. I still have the piece that goes around there. Actually, I got her in the eBay lot with this one, with this swim and dive Barbie. So yeah, a lot of those dolls were mint condition. And then we have my last one, which I got her from a thrift store in 2015. So anyhow, that concludes this 3rd installment of my 90s Barbie collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Be sure to look out for part 4, which will be coming up soon. And thank you guys for watching. More videos to come, and remember to stay true to you.